Yeah. State your name, where you called it from.
Hey,
Hey,
42.
42?
Uh-oh. Oh, boy.
Oh, that's good again.
What up, 42?
I think, like, the adults are just extremely immature. Like, they got out of that teenager phase where they just want attention. And when they try to tackle science, they're really confused. Like, the last caller was talking about how white people came from Africa and many dogs. I mean, we don't really even understand like that isn't even ground yet. I ignore the stuff in Neanderthals because I think a lot of that is just it's I challenged it enough to where I'm like you can't build off of it. And then like you can just tell people that white people came out of Africa just because white people are always born out of Africa and in Africa right now. So I mean and I see that it just seems like it's a whole bunch of questions that confuse people, combined with people that want attention and people that are just immature. As the reality is, if you know the modern people that are classified as white, they really struggle dealing with genetics because, let's put it like this, if you take your hand and you remove, let's say, one finger, the rest of your hand is African genetics, and that finger is everything else. So they're not the center of the science, and they struggle with it. And to the point where we really got to spend more time checking them. And the asses might follow, but who knows? I don't know. Because to me, it's consistent immaturity, and I don't know if there's so much self-hate with everybody, because like I'm overjoyed to be mostly African. And I relate to it. It solves a lot of problems. Like if I were to explain to people why the Earth is round, you just look at Africa, because when they were making the maps to distort them, because you got to distort an image to make something flat, to make something round flat, they would shrink Africa. But then when you have all of these images from space, you see that Africa is huge. And then you look at a GPS, like on your phone, and Africa is Africa isn't shrunk, but you notice Greenland grows. But then if you really double check it and you scroll to Greenland, you notice that the miles and the kilometer thing is distorted to make it look bigger than it is. So even that distorts itself so you can navigate on a round, on something that's round while looking at a flat map. And that's just basic. Like you got that many people on YouTube that are that stupid to where they can't even get the basics, and Africa's giving you the basics. And
right. You're right. You're right, 42.
Did you see that last video with Brother Sanchez and them albos with Onk and Garfield? I might do a breakdown on that.
You need to, man. Take some time out and school it, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was intense. Like, I can't blame us for not checking them on some stuff because it was constant barrage to the point where I'm like, are they even serious? You know what I mean? Like, you know they're not going to be able to deal with white supremacy if they think that white people are honestly capable of taking the shape of the planet. I mean, you remember that one astronaut that was driving across the country because she wanted to beat up the other astronaut or kill her, and she was driving in a diaper? But they're supposed to be able to keep the secret of the shape of the Earth. And they don't even have sense to stop and use the bathroom. And that, and that's like they don't realize it's not a real conspiracy. It's not possible. And you know, white supremacy, if you see them as some sort of deity that's in this this Mason cult that's capable of doing something outlandish like that.
Again, I want to say thanks to my new subscribers. I know I picked up a bunch when I was able to get a hold of that video that was taken down about George Washington. It's my most recent video. It was by Black Truth Forever, I think he goes by. And he did a video essay about George Washington, and it was, YouTube pulled it quick. And fortunately, someone downloaded it, and I was able to upload, and you could see the original. I think he did another video after that where, and I didn't watch it, where he may have mentioned that the original was out there, and you know, somebody put it up, subscribe, because I picked up a lot of subscribers doing that. And that's good. I really could use more subscribers. I'm not content heavy in the sense that I don't put out a lot of videos. That could change because just the way I don't really have time to do long videos. So where I would do a 5-hour video, and you know, if you want to watch the 5-hour video, watch it. I don't care. You know, I'll probably do quick installments, and that's what I'm going to do today. And that's really better. It's better to spam stuff like that if you're trying to build your base. I'm trying to build my base, but at the same time, that just seems too involving. I'd rather just grind out a big video and then maybe break it down afterwards. But for now, just so I can have any type of sense of accomplishment and do something with this channel, it's probably better for me to do it the way that's more effective anyway. So it's just, and hey, if you prefer watching long videos that are more content rich, there's plenty on this channel. I might do a top 10s list. But for now, I'm going to get into why I am back doing this, what motivated me. And it's mainly, and that whole thing will play in more with the round earth, flat earth, and all that. But it's mainly dealing with that 7-hour video I listened to on Brother Sanchez's channel, who I normally don't really mess with Brother Sanchez. I've actually, I don't think I've ever sat through any video on his channel because I've seen what it's about. I'm not really, to me, that's just not my thing. If you really think that it's possible to fake the shape of the earth, then anything goes with you. Anything goes. Now, but then I kind of got to monitor that because there are people who go along with that. We have like a cultist tribal thing, but they're growing. Like these same cultist tribal people, like the moment I tell them about, hey, this dude is suspect, they might look at me like, oh, he's just hating on people. You know, he's Samboic himself. But then if you look at what I do on this channel, it's going after misinformation. And I don't just stop at the Negro. I also go after the misinformation on the albino very frequently. I check the people classified as white. And I encourage people to continue doing that. Because as you can see with that video recently that was put on World Star Hip Hop, notice World Star Hip Hop never ran anything with ancient Egyptian genetics until it was a study that showed that they were closer to Anatolians than Central Africans, to put it simple. And only in a certain era, only in the modern era, compared to ancient Anatolians, which is suspect on a number of levels, especially because, you know, why didn't we have a video about King Tut's DNA tribes test from World Star Hip Hop? But now we're getting one, the one time out of like 15 tests, because the other ones don't get publicized. Now we're getting a video about Abu Sir's relationship to Anatolia. Anything out of Africa, if they find it, it's on World Star Hip Hop. But I mean, we shouldn't be surprised with what World Star Hip Hop does. They look for ratchet shit and they wallow in it. And it's probably going to be worse after their founder died, because maybe he was checking that they don't go that far. I mean, maybe it was a thing where, hey, we're going to run this story about how the ancient Egyptians are more related to Anatolians and Levantians, okay? You know, and we'll just, by proxy of that, we'll just say Europeans, okay? Maybe when that dude was alive, they couldn't do that. But it goes down. Now, an example of how I have high content on this channel, I did a video about ancient Egyptian genetics. It's 4 hours. It is the quintessential video on ancient Egyptian genetics. It is basically the only and the best video on ancient Egyptian genetics. I would put that 4-hour video on the top of the top 10s list as a must watch if you're subscribed to this channel. All 4 hours, and do it more than once. If you're wise, do it more than once. Because it's been out for damn near a year, I think. About a year. Nobody's checked it. If anything, more information has come out to support everything that I put out there. It's a quintessential video on ancient Egyptian genetics because the media can't cover it. Otherwise, they would have. They would have covered how King Tut's ancestry test is censored on Wikipedia, but they don't do it. So I'm going to, you know, like I said, since I go in on the miseducation of the Negro and the miseducation of the albino, I'm going to be fair. And I said, okay, I'm going to listen to this 7 hours of the abos on Brother Sanchez's channel. And what I heard was magnificent in how ignorant and stupid it was. It was a groovy combination of ignorance and stupidity. Shallow, if you have any sense to actually discern. If you can discern anything, it's very shallow. So I know most of my subscribers are not idiots born. They could probably see what was going on with it. I know. And that's good. That's good. But this isn't really for my subscribers. This is for the idiot side of the masses that are on the fence. Now, for my subscribers, let me tell you, this will be a series. Of the 7 hours, I listened to about 6. I did it twice, and I'm still dumbfounded by this dumbness because of the rich combination of the ignorance and the stupidity displayed. It's a lot of material to educate and also warn you about how these idiots get down. And look, really, I won't call them idiots. That's one area where, you know, they've got enough savvy. I won't call them idiots. They channel the dumbness by telling you often what you want to hear with some stupid stuff that you ought to be able to check them on, but I don't get it. And it ends up being unholy in the way that it's so anti-nature and science. Just disgusting, and let me tell you, you aren't going to get anywhere when it comes to white supremacy if you're rolling with that. I said I got to do a breakdown on this. I have to explain what is flawed so my subscribers have not just the source material if I provide, you know, evidence of stuff that they could have looked up but didn't. Not just that, it's just a way of thinking that's lacking and dangerous because it ends up being, I'll just get to it. But I want to say one more thing before I get to it. This will be kind of entertaining because it's funny how stupid it gets. At one point, I'm like, they can't be serious. And it seemed like somebody giggled in the background. You can say what you want about mumble rappers. They get all the media and ain't saying shit. But you walk into a platform on YouTube where you can say a lot. You can say a lot. And, you know, most of Black Truth Forever's videos are not flagged down. And even the one that did, it moved around. It circulated. So you can say a lot. And really, I've edited so it should go quickly. I'm going to make it so I'm going to deal with about 20 minutes, maybe even less, And I might just shut it down soon because it could get noisy over here. Kids might be running through, and I'm like, hey, I got to shut it down. But this will be the first installment of the miseducation of the Abo.
I'm here to show you, tell you, explain to you why using this argument completely goes against your aboriginal claim. You cannot use the dating method that we know as carbon dating, i.e. radiometric dating, or potassium argon dating, all right? And I will explain what these are in a few, all right? But we cannot use their dating method to back our claims, all right? So now, the first thing we must understand is how this radiometric dating thing works.
So we're just getting started. I hadn't even planned to talk about this part, at least not so early, because he goes back to this thing. But right away, looking back, I can see he's making 2 early mistakes. I want to see if you can get them, like if you're seeing this too. The main one and the most obvious one is circular reasoning. He's saying that you need an argument that for dating, because you can't beat the arguments that they have for dating. They can always say, hey, this came from Africa and it's older than this from the Americas. They can always do this. So he has to work backwards and find a way to discredit the dating techniques. It's not that this is born out organically. He already hit the end where he's like, hey, we can't beat this dating. We need to find a way to argue against the dating. And a lot of times when people do that circular reasoning where they're looking for information to win an argument, they end up with logical fallacies. And he makes one that's critical, and by making this logical fallacy, he's essentially not challenging carbon dating. He's creating a straw man to challenge carbon dating. And he's going to burn up that straw man and say, look, it's blasphemous. And he'll use, some religious sounding talk. And the reason why he uses religious sounding talk is he is appealing to the fear of death. See, if you can take out dating, you can take out of Africa, and then they a lot of times tie out of Africa to evolution, because out of Africa is based on, in one aspect, it's based on all the levels of hominids being in Africa. That's something Sean was talking about after I got off the line. So they have to go at that because they're appealing or exploiting, or both really, the fear of death. So you'll see this logical fallacy. I want you to predict it and see if you can catch it yourself.
In every article that you find that they tell you, we have these bones in Africa and they date back, hey, like let's use the Lucy bones, for example. Okay? We have the Lucy bones that are dated millions of years. And this is a connection that they give to us evolving and coming from monkeys and coming from Africa, out of Africa, globe Earth, heliocentrum, Big Bang.
So right away, you're dealing with a flat earther. You're dealing with someone who believes, or maybe doesn't believe, but is exploiting your fear of death. The earth is flat. Either he believes it, or he's exploiting your fear of death and saying, hey, we're the center of attention. We're not a dot of space dust swirling around the sun. We're all that there is. It's exploiting the fear of death. That's why he's going after out of Africa, colder than any white supremacists with their pseudoscience. The miseducation of the Abo, is right up there with the miseducation of the albino, except for it's worse in the sense that there is no resources. They're not getting paid to lie to you. They're doing this because you're an easy sucker. Unless this person is really the fool that thinks that the earth is flat. But notice the setup. Again, you're seeing the justification for circular reasoning. The earth is really flat. We ain't going around the sun. We were created by something, and it didn't use the many, and it's not just Lucy. I mean, you have to create another conspiracy about all these fake fossils or bones. Mostly fossils, I would think, if it's in Africa, because it deteriorates. I don't know. Maybe Lucy was bones. I don't really get into anthropology, but I would know one thing. You cannot conspiracy that science. You're going to conspiracy space. Everything's a conspiracy. But they're not actually challenging the conspiracy. Right now he's trying to say that carbon dating is a giant conspiracy. But notice when he gets to the details, it falls flat. With one major logical fallacy that he just ignores and hopes that you ignore. You got to be smarter than that. And push back. Okay? So we'll get to it. It's good.
A simple question that I need everyone, I want everybody to ground this question into your mind. When they tell you this is this many thousand, million, 100,000, billion years old, this is the question I need you to say. How do you know? Okay? We can no longer just have people give us these dates. They're a part of the paradigm that we're against.
Circular reasoning in a nutshell. We are against it, so we're challenging it. Not that it is false, so we're challenging it. When I challenge things on this channel, it's because it is suspect, because the knowledge seems wrong. So I challenge it. Because I went along with the whole thing about people breeding with Neanderthals, too. And then the evidence started to come to me. I cited the evidence, I studied it, I found new evidence that people weren't citing. I combined the two and I said, hey, I'm predicting this if I'm finding new evidence. It was organic. I have no dog in the fight. Because knowing, how do you know? Knowing is based on knowledge, right? So if you're going to contest that knowledge, it probably would help if you didn't have a dog in the fight. Because what'll happen is, I'm telling you, it leads to logical fallacies, and that's just what happens. And you'll see it in a minute, because it's actually really simple.
And every time you mention, yo, man, we got these bones over here, and they this age, and you try to use it, they say, hey, but you know what? We have something older than that. We have civilizations that have been dated older than that. We have temples and people and languages and all of these things dated older than that started in Africa. There's no way you're going to pick a date for anything in America and beat the out of Africa theory. There's no way. I need you to understand that. So now when we ask them, if you stop trying to compare dates with them, because their dates back their theory, if you stop trying to compare dates and you simply ask them, can you prove to me how you came to your date? Can you show me how you know the date is correct? This is where you find your advantage, okay? This is where you put them against the wall. We are no longer arguing their dates, trying to be older than them. We are now telling them, you have no clue what the fuck you talking about, telling me, hey, pardon me for cursing. I don't know if y'all get down like that over here, but you have no clue what you talking about, telling me that these bones for Lucy are 2-3 million years old. There's no, and how do we know this? Because when you ask them. Not to mention, shout out to Garfield. I know you be watching the Bro Sanchez, waiting to say something crazy, and you ducked me on this conversation, and now you see me over here giving them these bars. So now he gonna check you properly because he got the platform to do it.
Did he just not go full Sambo? The Abo went Sambo. I mean, let me explain. One thing Tariq Nasheed said that was truer than anything he said is essentially we are one big nigga. It sounds like he's starting to forget that, getting a bit competitive in his attempt to miseducate and exploit. Now, he hasn't, it's a lot of it has just been cha-cha-cha. He hasn't gotten to how he is contesting carbon dating. Because, hey, he could be right. He could be right. Carbon dating is also a conspiracy. It's bad science. He could be right. But one thing, the ball is in his court. Carbon dating, it's been in practice for more than 50 years. And it's substantiated by both the geological column and the evolution of the fossil record as things move on. So if you're going to contest it, you're really going to have to come strong, and he doesn't. We'll see.
Giving it up for the Aboriginal community. We share this info, make sure we all got these tools in our tool belt, okay? But I asked Garfield these same questions, and his response is, oh, we're just going with the general consensus, brother. This is what they tell us, so we have to go. We're not in the field, brother. This is what Garfield say to me. So immediately, I push him right to, hey man, I don't know, we're believing them. Immediately, he has to tell me he's in a state of belief. This is impossible. Not in the community that's telling us they got all the facts and the proof, and they know, and they the scholars, and they the researchers. No way. When I ask you, how do you know your data is correct? You say how old they are. Period. Okay? So now.
Actually, we see one logical fallacy, but this is different. Why should Garfield know? Garfield mostly studies AD history, studies biblical history. He can look at carbon dating and say, okay, consensus science hasn't been checked. Well, actually, it has been checked, but it's been an ongoing thing, and it's substantiated itself for 50 years with multiple science. Why do I have to actually know, and why do I have to have intimate knowledge on this subject? I don't have time to have intimate knowledge on every subject. There's some things I can just maybe have a little knowledge of to the point where I'm mostly just believing it. And if you look across the board, that's how we are with everything, except for the areas where we actually have some knowledge on, some independent primary research knowledge on. With me, it's a handful of subjects. Everything else, I either have enough knowledge to say I a little bit more than believe, or I just say, hey, look, I believe this is true. Prove me wrong. You know what I mean? So it's already setting up this straw man when he just completely ignored that you've had the consensus. Okay. Like even when I went into the thing where humans didn't, or Homo sapiens didn't breed with Neanderthals. When I went into that, I at least had the consensus broken in the sense that Cambridge College was saying it didn't happen like that. Cambridge College was saying this is shared ancestry, not intermixing, or whatever they call it, interbreeding or whatever. Not sex, not recent sex. This is shared ancestry. And it wasn't just Cambridge College. But at least you have this, okay, I have an alternative right here. The reason why, and I guess I'll get to this after he presents his evidence for why the consensus is wrong. So I'll get to that.
So now, I will explain to you why. The first thing first. Bro Sanchez, I hope you don't mind. I want to give a shout out to me and my homies and my crew real quick before I go in. All right, my name is Copper Color K. All right, y'all can follow me on YouTube. I'm under Copper Color K. I'm in the chat right now. I just said peace to the family and all that. Follow me on YouTube. I kick a whole, I'm new in the area, but I come with it and I'm gonna show you why. All right. But I represent the copper colored culture. We are the Aboriginal community. We're not trying to tie ourselves back to a specific set of Indians and say we from here. No, we've been here pre-Columbus, and we know we got to make changes in the world that's around us right now. And so, yeah, we get into the info and we know just where to go to back niggas up off of the info so we could just get right to what's important when you subscribe to the dates of any bones, structures, people, civilizations, etc., etc. All right? Now,
Wow, we are both very long-winded. I try not to be, and that's my cue to shut up and let him finish. And I'm from here on, I'm also going to accelerate it to try to get to his point specifically about how he challenges carbon dating.
the first assumption is based on what we have right now called radiocarbon or carbon-14 in our atmosphere today. So this is how it works. They look at the atmosphere right now, and they measure the amount of carbon-14 in the atmosphere right now. And they say, okay, so we have about 0.0000765% radiocarbon 14 in our atmosphere right now. This is how much we have. 4 zeros, 765. 0.000765. Okay? So now, we have this much in our atmosphere right now. And based on the decay of that carbon in the bones that we find right now, we're able to determine how old bones are. So let's look at this theory, right? They say when anything that's alive, we're breathing in the air from the atmosphere, all right? We're taking in this radiocarbon 14 at the same time. So if it's 0.00765% of radiocarbon 14 in the atmosphere, then all of us should have the same amount in us. That goes for the plants, the animals, the humans. All right? You're following me? This is simple. Okay? So they said we got this much carbon in the atmosphere now. Everybody's breathing this carbon. The plants get it. The animals get it. The humans get it. We all eat one another. It should be a consistent amount in all of us, right? Okay, that's the first assumption, though. Now, it's logical, and I'm cool with it, but it is an assumption, okay? To say that how much is in the atmosphere must be the same amount in us. That is an assumption, albeit logical, still an assumption. That's number one. So cool. Now, we move forward, and they say, so we have bones from millions of years ago, i.e. Lucy, that's dated at 3 million years. Now, all right, how do we know that 3 million year number is correct? They say, well, based on the amount of carbon we have in the atmosphere today, hear this, based on the amount of carbon 14 we have in the atmosphere today, we assume that the same amount of radiocarbon 14 was in the atmosphere 3 million years ago. Okay? This is the next assumption. That's 2 so far. Follow me. Okay? So, they say what we got now must be the same for the entire time that the Earth was here. The amount of carbon 14 must be the same, correct? I don't know how you know. There's no way you can go back in time and test. You tell me all of these eruptions happens, volcanoes erupt, pushing all kind of ash into the air. Fucking meteorites and shit supposed to be crashing into the earth, causing all type of atmospheric distortion, all type of pollution in the atmosphere. All the different comets and shit that's supposed to hit this planet, all of the different flood events, all of the different catastrophes that was supposed to happen on this planet over its timeline. You're telling me you're going to assume that the amount of carbon 14 in the atmosphere has been the same the entire time. That is stupid, Okay? That is stupid to make that assumption. There's no way, but we will move forward.
So that's really the meat of his argument. I wonder, just in your head, can you see what's wrong with it? Because to me, it was so obvious to where I'm thinking this guy really isn't challenging this science. Because it just comes down to something simple. It's just math. You're looking for a pattern. And they're also looking at a stable type of distortion. Because really, like if you look up what will change the rate of isotopic decay, it's not just ash and water. It's not like physical things as much as it is just radioactive things. Like, I mean, it's physical in a sense, like something that's near uranium or something like in Hiroshima, areas that have had radiation. And that's why they talk about how it would be difficult to go back into the past and use dating methods. And there's more than just carbon. There's like 10 different dating methods. And this is one thing I learned, listen to this, because Ankh did check him on this. It's like, wait a second. I mean, Ankh he checked him by mentioning that there's like 10 different dating methods, but he doesn't go into what that implies mathematically. Because if you have 10 different ways in which isotopes decay, 10 different constant rates, and now you're viewing how this changes when something dies in relation to how other things die, and you're creating like a dating calendar with that, you're able to use different methods to substantiate the others. And also they find anomalies. He even mentions this later on, and they throw out the anomalies. He uses that as saying, hey, that's proof right there that they're making it up as they go along. Well, of course, whenever you're trying to find precision, you're making something up as you go along. If you're trying to find something that's broken, in a pile of something that's not, then a lot of times it's a process of elimination. When they throw out the anomalies, basically they're looking to see if they can find a pattern. And if that pattern is also substantiated by the column, I think they call it the geological column or geological calendar, which, where things that are old are typically buried deeper in the ground. So if they find an anomaly, let's say they find a Homo sapien that's buried deep, then they think, oh, well, that's probably somebody in a cave. That's probably somebody that got assed out on a volcano, and they ended up deeper than where they necessarily would have been. Maybe they were in a crater of some kind, living there, swimming in a crater lake or something like that, and they got dead in, so they end up deeper than where they would normally be. That is an anomaly. You don't build off the anomaly unless you find a pattern of consistency to the point where you're like, man, these humans are really old. These Homo sapiens, they're not just an anomaly here. They're an anomaly in like 8 different locations. And they all have the same type of skulls. But you have to bring that forth. And if you can't bring that forth, you can't just say it's a conspiracy to hide it. Because there's a whole bunch of people going out on digs. You know what I mean? It's just like the thing with the earth being round, the earth being flat. Not all those people are going to be able to keep that secret. You got people that are pop, lost their mind, driving across the country, ready to kill a bitch. They're not going to be, if they're suicidal, what's to stop them from saying, hey, there's 8 different continents past Antarctica? What would stop them from saying that? Or I dress up like an astronaut, I go into the movie studio, we do this, we do that, we don't actually go to space. What's to stop them from saying that? Over the course of, we've been sending satellites up for 50 years. Just America alone. Now everybody else has to get into it. Now everybody who has an airport has to just lie to themselves about how they're navigating and coordinating everything. Come on, man. This guy, basic logical fallacy is he does not understand the value of precision, patterns. Because if you have isotopic decay, and like I said, it's not just ash getting kicked up in the air, it's radioactive things that will break down That's why a lot of times, like if you watch The Toxic Avenger and the dude falls into a vat of atomic waste, he's broken down real quick in ways that are at the atomic level, not, just burning up skin or whatever. I'm talking, it's a bit deeper. It's an extra layer. Just like, what was that superhero Firestorm, where he had like that little, luminescent blowtorch on his head, and he could change things by changing their atomic structure. He was hella overpowered. He was way past everybody, really. He was really overpowered. And that's what changes the decay rate. At least that is a narrative based on, it's really easy to carbon date things. You can just do that over and over and over and over and over again, different locations. And then if you chart the anomalies, you can say, okay, maybe a comet hit the Earth then. And they do that. I mean, this is basic, I will say, maybe old school Discovery Channel, back when the Discovery Channel was really about shit. This is basic. I mean, this is like easier than Wikipedia. But like I said, when you have that circular reasoning, when you're looking for a reason to dupe the ignorant masses, you will find something, and it will have a type of logical fallacy. I don't even know what this one is called. If you know, put it in the comments. And that's it. This will be the first installment of the miseducation of the albino. Not the albino, the abo. But I did say that Freudian slip because I think they get this from, intentional design or intelligent design? Yeah, this is intelligent design rhetoric. And it's all really, it just goes back to the fear of death. Let's make science less mundane and more magical. So we need to get rid of this dating method because it makes Earth look old. It makes us look like we came out of the animal kingdom only recently. And hey, if it was just this, then whatever. But it's not just this. There's a lot of evidence that suggests that we came out of the animal kingdom recently. And you want to singulate monkeys because they scratch their ass a certain way, they eat coochie the same ways. I mean, they do a lot of stuff the way we do it. But I won't just target monkeys. I look at it like, damn. When I look at the evidence, I'm like, damn, we came out the animal kingdom. Like, we was on the animal side of the planet. And now we pretty much control it. We have dominion over this planet. At least the other living creatures. I mean, if we all die, the planet will still be here. And it's in the sweet spot to where it'll like, okay, let me do this whole life thing again. I finally got some people that were smart enough to deflect meteors, and then they upped and killed everything. Okay, let's do it again. When you gonna burn out, son? Okay, we got time. We still got the tardigrades. I'm out. I'm long-winded.